Hi guys, my name is Kevin and I'm a freelance animator in New York City. I've been animating professionally for about 7 years now. I've worked everything from feature films, game cinematics, short films, commercials, and during that time I've worked on a wide variety of projects that has helped me develop a workflow that's really made it easy to transition from one production to the next. So today I'm going to do a little tiny demo just to showcase a little bit of what I'm going to teach in this hybrid workflow course. Okay, so before we begin, I want to thank Agora Studio for letting us use this amazing rig. This is their Twigs rig. It's free to use if you want to download from their site. I used it a while back for a anim challenge and it was just so much fun to work with. So today we're just going to talk about how to improve existing animation. If you have a big note from a director or a client, you don't want to waste so much time like blowing away all the animation you already worked so hard to get. You want to find a better, efficient way to hit those notes without having to redo a lot of animation. And most of the time you will have to reduce some, but it's best to kind of limit that as much as you can. So today we're going to talk about a few things, but the main thing we're going to start with is anim layers. Now animation layers, I feel like that's one of the strongest features in Maya and a lot of other programs because it's so non-destructive. You know, if you don't like it, you can just turn it off or you can dial it down. And the thing is, I feel like I don't see a lot of people utilizing that. And maybe because it's a little scary and it can get a little technical, but it really just saves a lot of time. So I'm gonna play this animation and I just quickly whip this up and using a very layered approach. So when I play it, it's gonna feel pose-wise going to feel very and I purposely made it very symmetrical. The motion is kind of there, but overall it's not really passable for like a first look or anything at all. You know, it's just a simple take, and you know it's fine, but it's just a lot of things that you can improve on this. So let's just quickly look at this real quick and say, all right, first of all, it's symmetrical like crazy. Everything is moving like right to left is exactly the same, and I did this on purpose just to show. And so how do we break this in? Do we go in and start keying poses and making it? No, of course not. That would take too much time. So I'm going to select all, and I'm going to create an anim layer. Let's call this repose layer. Okay. And best to name your layers because it'll make it a lot easier to manage once you get a little more complicated later on. So I'm going to key all here. Say this pose, key all here. And we'll key the last frame here. All right. So maybe I'll go in and I'll just adjust. So body nice. Probably just hold that pose there. So this pose right here, it's not too bad, but it can definitely be a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? Asymmetric, you know? It can be a lot more dynamic. All right. Is this hat laid on here? No, it's not. Okay, so let's not touch it. All right, so, and a good way you can just select, right click on here and do select objects, and it'll just select anything that's on that layer. Okay. So here, I know that that pose is the original, so I can just pop it. See how that works? That's why I keyed in the first place, because I know that I can go back to the original, so it's kind of that non-destructive a little bit. because I know I tweak the pose a lot, so you got to make sure you have the original somewhere in there. All right, cool. Select objects again. Okay, once it's selected, so here, I'm gonna go here and maybe I gotta save this pose somewhere else just because, you know, in case I have like something to compare it to later on. So I'll just paste it here. But here I can just kind of quickly get a way better dynamic pose. This Twist rig has this awesome tool that you can kind of really taper the hands very fast. I love it so much. The only other rigs that I've seen that has this is blur rigs, and it makes hand posing just so much easier. Because one of the most tedious things that you can do is pose hands and fingers. That's why whenever I work, I usually create like library poses for hands right off the bat, just because I don't want to have to do that later. So I can just dial in whenever I want to. All right, so let's just say, you know, we're happy with this, right? I'm like breaking this rig, but it's fine. It's the camera, right? So no one will ever know how poorly posed in perspective he is. Okay, anyways. So select objects. See that? And then if I like that, then I'm just gonna not keep this at all. Delete that. See that? Looks so much better. Okay. So once we have that, and we're like, okay, I like that a lot. But what can we do? We gotta go in and finesse certain things, like the arms coming up at the same time. I do not like that at all. So a quick way that I deal with this is I'll just go in, and this may be like just random, but I'll just I'll see gaps here and I'll just like take it away. Like I'll just go, oh, what happens if I do that? What happens if I take this away? So now, right? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And this just allows you to kind of like play with it. Another thing is I can just go in and I can, if I didn't do that, I just undid that. I can just go in and I have this awesome tool right here in the graph editor. If you look here where my mouse is, it's the Retimed Tool. So I can just go here to where I want it, double click, it has this little bar here. And I'll just go towards the end here, where it ends. And so if I start scaling here within it, it just pulls everything, as you can see, right, from that bar, which is great. And the more information that I add in, like for instance, here and here, then it doesn't move from that point. See that? So now if I play it, look at that. And now, yes, they're all, you know, off on in between frames, which is like a nightmare for a lot of people. But if you like what you see, you're like, okay, I like that, that's great. You can just hit enter, right? And I have this great tool here, it's called Bake On. And I'll just, within this timeline, let's just say cut here, and I'll just cut my timeline here. And I will bake all that onto ones. So now, right? I think something messed up along the way. Let's see this. Maybe if I could also just manually do it, but I don't like to do manual things. I can just go here, making sure all those are, because that seems to be the problem area. I'm just inserting keys, and then I can go in and say select unsnapped, edit snap, and then select unsnap again and delete anything that's not on the frame. There you go. So now you can go in and correct it accordingly. Here, I want this to continue moving, so I can just quickly key that. Let's not get it to crash. Let's bring that down. And this is where you can just have fun with it, you know? Because the structure is already there, and you can kind of just play as you go. It makes things a lot easier to manage. You know, and I can just, you know, go in and I can just add stuff to it, you know. From here, let me see, from here he comes. I can just break his arm here. You know, and I can just bring those fingers, zero those out, zero it out, or there we go. And bring it here. Drag it. I can even do a little tiny smear just for fun. There you go. There, nice. See that? And of course, you know, I would go in and really just figure out all that spacing. This, I'm just feeling it out right now. This one right here on this side, I can just, you know, play with it too. Structure's already there, right? From here, I can collapse it completely. There you go. Bring that bow bends out. Bring that arm down. You can drag a little bit, these fingers. There you go. Let's bring the thumb in a bit. From here, I can just make sure I have those fingers dragging. Oops, not this one. See that? And I can, you know, I can frame by frame this and just for fun, you know. And there you go. Right? And I can keep playing with it too. Like maybe this one, like for instance, this one right here, I feel like this part right here, I can lose this frame maybe, because there's a cushion frame here, right? So I can just pop him up to this frame, right? So let's do that. So if I insert a key right there, insert a key here, just to make sure I have that stamped. And this is something I do a lot, especially when you start layered. The biggest problem sometimes is that it's very soft. So you can just quickly get rid of that softness by deleting this. Insert, oh, it's not letting me. Oh, okay, so just make sure you don't have a channel selected. I have channel selected sync to timeline, so sometimes it will only delete certain parts. Oh wait, what's going on? Okay, so I'm gonna insert a key here, insert a key here, delete this key, and take away. All right, cool. Just fix that. It's a big pop here, so I can just play with this a little bit. I can just stretch this mouth out. Maybe I'll translate that down. This head had a head scale option. Now it's time to use it. And then I can also scale the eyes. You know, really see where it's coming from. From here, pop it. See that? Okay, yeah, cushion right there. So, pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop. Just a slight spacing issue. That's fine. Then here I can just kind of take these eyes and I'll key it here, maybe 2 frames after, to get the little cushion, and I'll just pull that back. Maybe the nose too, you know. From here, I'll there you go. It's cool. And you can play with it. You can play with the jaw and all that. I'll key like a frame out, like 2 or 3 frames after, so I can just kind of do whatever I want to do with it, and know that it's going to, you know, return back to where it was before. Same thing with fingers too. They're like a little noodly, you know. So you can kind of go in and stamp the pose you like. Like from here, I can just key all 23, 21, delete that. 25, 28. At 18, okay, so I can just go in and quickly repose this just to make it a little tighter, a little more appealing. So here, take that. 21, I can just bring the pinky in a little bit. Remember that structure is already there, right? So I don't care too much about trying to just break some poses a little bit, because I know it's going to work fine in the end. And I trust that the structure I laid out before is already there. So here, this is the part where it gets a little noodly, right? So I'm just gonna bring this here. See that? And I can just take away a key. From here, stamp that 30. Feels a bit late, so I'm going to bring that back, bring that. I could delete this actually. Maybe not, maybe not. There you go. And I can delay those fingers a little bit if I want. There you go. Okay. That's pretty much it. So we took animation that wasn't that great. It had structure and it had movement that worked relatively well, but overall it just didn't work. But now we took that and now we have something a little more fun, a little more dynamic, and something that we can actually work with and show as a first pass. So yeah, that's pretty much it.